Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the Atomic Museum, Mr. Rob McCoy.
Good evening. Good evening and welcome to Atomix 2. This is our second one. I was thinking on the way over here tonight, maybe we'll start doing what UFC does and we'll start numbering Atomics. So this is Atomix 2. Atomix 3 is coming up March 7th, downtown at the Beverly Theater with Academy Award-winning writer, producer, director John Eltz. So you will not want to miss that. In fact, it's March 7th, which is just a couple of days before the Oscars. We're going to have a fun time. First of all, I'd like to welcome all of you. Is this not an incredible place? And this would not have been made possible without the graciousness of Bill and Kat, who own this incredible operation. Thank you so much. It just seems like Atomic Motors and Atomic Museum belong together. Absolutely. Our other sponsor for the evening is Live Well, Work Well, and Prism Global HR Management. And the principal of both of those companies is with us tonight, Mary Beth Hartleb. Thank you, MB, for always being a friend to this museum. It is much appreciated, and thank you for this evening. Well, time for the main event. So about 3 months ago, we added a new staff member, team member, incredibly smart young man who is our Director of Education. Now you need to know, if you haven't done Atomics before, this is a conversation, not a lecture. And so we want you to be part of the conversation. And to help lead that conversation tonight and to introduce our very special guest, please welcome our Director of Education, Matt Malinowski.
Welcome, everybody. Again, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Atomics, where intelligence is not artificial. As Rob mentioned, I'm Matt Malinowski. I'm the Director of Education at the Atomic Museum, and just thrilled that you're all here with us this evening. Atomics is this really cool new series that we've got where we're able to come out into the community, into fantastic locations like this, like Atomic Motors, and have conversations with our audiences and learn a little bit more about each other, talk about history, science, technology, all those sorts of great things. And yeah, this place is just incredible. The cars that they've got set up for us tonight too just really fit the vibe of what we're going to be talking about for this presentation. So it looks phenomenal in here. And if that wasn't atomic enough for you as it is, the title of our conversation for tonight is Atomic Life Shaken and Stirred. So I'm going to be introducing you all to Cecilia in just a moment here, who is a professor and author from Vanderbilt University. But before I do that, just a couple of quick notes about the format of tonight's Atomics, guys. First of all, this is a conversation. Like Rob said, we would love for you to participate and have questions for us. So please do that. We'll have plenty of time as the event goes on for that. Secondly, after that, so yeah, we're going to have some, we're also having cocktails, right? So we're going to do that for you really shortly. So we'll have the first cocktail come out pretty soon, and then we're going to have a second cocktail as well, and I'd love to get your feedback on those too. And then finally, this will kind of turn into a book signing as well if you want that opportunity to pick up a copy of Cecilia's book if you don't have it already. It's a really fantastic read. I've read it myself and really highly recommend it. It's this really interesting blend of American history and cocktail culture. So I highly recommend that as well. Without further ado, I'd like to get you all acquainted with Cecelia Tichi. Cecilia is a professor at Vanderbilt University and has written numerous books. She's got a series of mystery crime novels set in the Gilded Age and a trio of cocktail books as well, right? One of which we're focusing on tonight, Midcentury Cocktails, History, Lore, and Recipes from America's Atomic Age. Please help me welcome Cecelia Tichi.
Thank you. This is an incredible place, amazing place. I have been to Vegas before, but this is it. So thank you all for being here with these cars and those motorcycles. I found the vintage Indian motorcycle that in my dreams were, and I'm going to start, we're having a dialogue, but I was thinking you might be interested in a little automobile anecdote. This is from Vanderbilt, Cornelius Vanderbilt, the fourth, Neil, he was called. And he was in World War I. He enlisted as a private. His mother tried desperately to get him out of the war, but he was determined to learn something about America. Well, he was sent abroad. Remember, this is World War I, trenches, gas, all that. A British officer came to his unit. All these guys from the Bronx, guys from Oklahoma, and Neil Vanderbilt. And the officer asked, "Is there anyone among you who knows how to drive a Rolls-Royce automobile?" One hand went up because, as Neil Vanderbilt wrote, "It's the only car my parents ever owned." So I'm starting off with that little bit. Now we're going to talk.
Well, yeah, so we'll grab a seat up here, and we're just going to get comfortable. And I think what would only be right is if we start our audience out with one of the mid-century cocktails from your book, right? So in just a moment, Cecilia's already began.
Right.
That's great. But yeah, we're going to bring that out to you. And Cecilia, we let you select the cocktails tonight, right? So,
Well, I was asked to select two cocktails that fit the mid-century, the atomic age, since we are here atomized, all of us. I'm going to start by announcing the gin and tonic, which is so common now, it's so ordinary. What's to say? Let me refer us to Papa Ernest Hemingway in Cuba, and he was accused of spoiling a perfectly good gin drink with that bitter quinine and those limes. How could he possibly like that? Just about that time, the brand of quinine water, Schweppes, was introduced, and it was advertised as promoting a feeling of good taste. So with Ernest Hemingway and Schweppes quinine water, I don't know what brand we have here at the bar, I didn't look, but that's one of the cocktails for this evening. Yes?
Great.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Is
and it looks-
anyone drinking one now? Hands up. All right.
Great.
Oh.
Well, yeah.
Here's cheers. Yes,
Cheers,
yes, all
everybody.
right. And a bit later, we'll describe the other cocktail.
Perfect.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, welcome everybody. Again, enjoy your cocktail. I hope you like it. So Cecilia, how did you get started doing this kind of, writing cocktail books and getting into writing in particular?
Not from behind the bar, but approaching it through a sort of a cultural continuity from the Gilded Age. We're not here to talk about the Gilded Age or the flappers who finally would put their little calfskin boots up on the brass rail and order what they wanted. Because in the Gilded Age, ladies were not to drink cocktails. Mixed drinks for gentlemen only. Not that there weren't some secret cocktails. Not that the Waldorf Astoria Hotel did not have a little tea wagon wheeling from table to table with a teapot and cups and some liquor bottles. And the lady who might order not orange pekoe tea, but an orange blossom, had in the palm garden of the Waldorf Astoria her teacup filled with a cocktail. That tea wagon was called the trolley bar. And that's the time when Oscar of the Waldorf invented the rope covered with red velvet to keep the crowds at bay. The red velvet rope began with Oscar of the Waldorf. Let me come up to these years now, and back to the atomic age. And it's so interesting that we're starting to think more seriously about the atomic age and our own age. Matt asked me, how did you come up with the title of this book? And I will tell you that I fought with my editor for months. New York University Press editors insisted that this was a book to be titled Atomic Cocktails. Atomic Cocktails. I said, please no. It's somewhat cartoonish, and it's a little frightening. And we wrangled, and the contract called for atomic cocktails until Vladimir Putin started talking about nuclear weapons. And that's what flipped it. So it became Midcentury Cocktails of the atomic age, America's atomic age, and that is that story. I don't know what has become of sales on that basis, but it was Vladimir Putin who changed my editors' minds, and the marketers, and the publicists, and all of that. If you don't mind, I'm going to stand up because I can see all these nice faces and the cars.
I'm going to join you then.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's stand up.
So,
Okay.
So, if you don't mind, Cecilia, so kind of set the scene for us a little bit, though, about what does this mean, mid-century and the atomic age?
Why mid-century? Yeah. Here we all were. Some of us, perhaps, in this room have memories that extend back. World War II has concluded. The United States is a great atomic power. It was a jolt to learn that the Soviets might match us. It became an era in which, however, our great celebratory impulse, America on the move again, America on the road again. Here came, and Matt, I'm jumping ahead a little bit.
It's okay.
Here in 1953 came President Dwight D. Eisenhower at the United Nations talking about the great atomic age just dawning. And he said, for peace, well-being, and happiness. He also was very clear about the importance of defense, very clear. And that he said he would leave to others to invent and bring America into this new era, an era in which a power plant the size of a child's block could power houses of a whole city. It was a wonder to behold. At the same time, and we know this, there was a certain level of anxiety. After all, the bomb, 2 bombs off. And you know it here better than most of America. So it was celebratory mixed with a certain anxiety. And that was the temper of the times, very much. But it became as well a great era of cocktail parties, of socializing, of weekends with friends and even co-workers in the cities, in the suburbs, the new suburbs, home ownership at a level that was unimaginable. The GI Bill, where a veteran could borrow enough money, could move to Levittown and have a suburban house fully furnished with new appliances, automatic washing machines, refrigerators. Betty Furness on black and white television, opening these refrigerator doors and promising America ice cream that could freeze, the chiller for cheese, vegetables, all of it. So it was a glorious moment of these mid-century years, and we ought not to think otherwise.
So we chatted a little bit about your book, and if you guys haven't seen it yet, again, Midcentury Cocktails, History, Lore, and Recipes from the Atomic Age, and you talked about how this title kind of came into its own evolution, which I thought was kind of a cool story, right?
We should look at some of these images. Maybe some of you, surely some of you get the Wall Street Journal. Show of hands. Oh, come on. Right. Just a few months ago, in one of the weekend sections, here is Las Vegas, the Atomic Testing Museum. Well, of course, I saved that section and had a photograph made of it, and there is a composite. Here's your city. Here's someone with a camera and going to see the museum, two young people who before this visit would have known nothing about the atom or testing or any of it until they visit this fabulous museum. So this was the start. And if we could maybe move along a little bit to the next image. This is my book. Black. Okay, but here, to go forward. This sort of image is fierce, it's frightening. Such images were broadcast, but very soon, now notice this, yes, it's the mushroom, but it wasn't at first thought to be a mushroom. Some thought it would be a berry, like a big raspberry, the atomic raspberry. It was slightly in contention with the mushroom. So if we move on then a bit more, Matt, if you would, and here we begin to see the cartooning. And since the cartooning can be funny, it can be exaggerated, and the fears can fade, and the mushroom took hold, the raspberry and the never quite made it, but it was in contention. Some also thought flowers. It was suggested that perhaps it could be a peony. Any votes for the peony? No. Okay. So here we have the beginnings, really, of the saturation of the atom in American culture.
Perfect. So do you feel that maybe these cartoons tend to trivialize or diminish the importance of the new atomic age? Is this,
It's an excellent question. Is this a trivialization? Have Americans kind of forgotten the importance, the profundity of the atomic powers? And if we start to look a bit further, Atoms for Peace, David Woodbury's book. This is the sort of promise to America. This would not be trivial by any means, but it would give Americans a whole new basis for the utilities, for power, for energy, for life itself. And if we then move just a bit, Mr. Woodbury, these little line drawings are in Mr. Woodbury's book. If you can see, there is a convertible car, top down, making its way. And let's remember that Dwight Eisenhower signed what we know today as the highway interstate system built for defense and for civilian life as well. The little hubcaps, the convertible, are atoms. They are. And so it's a suggestion that this car is really powered by the atom. No more petroleum, tiny little cubes of power. And at the bottom, something, a sort of, I don't know, it's a kind of Rec V of the 1948 Persuasion, but you see the atoms on the side of the trailer, and they're going off camping. What's the name of those wonderful campers? We passed
We passed some Airstreams.
Airstreams.
On the way down here, yeah.
Oh, yes. That should be an Airstream. All right. Now we have something next that Matt can tell us about and told me about.
Well,
if you would.
It tied in so nicely with what Cecilia was going to speak about tonight, because at the museum, we just, on loan from the Henry Ford Museum, put out something called the Ford Nucleon, which was Ford's concept car of the future back in the late 50s that was, going to be powered by a nuclear engine on the back at some point once the technology got there. So obviously this never came into full development, but we do have the model of it, the actual concept car that was created by Ford. And again, we just put that out just the other day, and there's a little kickoff that we're doing for it this weekend too, to tie in with F1, right, which kind of feels like it's been going on forever for us locals here in Las Vegas, but which is next week. So yeah, we're really excited to have the Ford Nucleon and to have a tie-in and a connection with Atomic Motors again this weekend.
Well, and all the while, Dinah Shore was singing "See the USA" in your Chevrolet, and here is Ford jumping way ahead to an atomic-powered car. And Matt told me this afternoon, and Joe as well, that visiting kids, 90 kids, came to the testing museum, leaving fingerprints on the case that the Ford, say the name of it again.
It's the Nucleon.
The Nucleon, the concept car. So it's in the case, and the kids they wanted to get their hands on it, of course. And
it happened so fast, like those kids just ran in, and fingerprints for Joe. Joe's our director of curation and exhibits. Yeah, as soon as he had it out.
There it is.
But yeah, we're excited to have it, and again, a great tie-in to what we're talking about today.
But it seemed so plausible at the time, and who could rule it out even now? No, the 22nd century, and on and on. But we might have a look here at the immersion of the atom in American life, and I just selected a few images and would like to have us look at them a bit. Ready kilowatt. At a certain point in life, you might remember that the utility companies, the electrical companies, promoted electrical power, by way of ready. But came the atomic era, and ready was atomic ready, the mighty atom in person. And see the little atoms zipping around him. He's reconfigured for the atomic age. So prepare to have your lights on and your refrigerator working by way of nuclear power. And then, let's have the next one.
There we are.
Okay, atomic living. Atomic living. This looks vaguely suburban, mid-century, and do you know now that the 50s is now called, mostly by younger people, mid-century. They don't want to call it the 50s. Okay, that works for you. It may be that this is the sort of chair, the sort of now color RCA television, and it looks like it could actually be Las Vegas. Look at that palm tree and that bird. But we might think of two concepts of atomic living, highly gendered. One, from Hugh Hefner's Playboy, that's That's the gentleman, suave, polished, knows how to live. All his switches work with those little mercury dimmers. His platform bed is well exhibited. And of course, he knows how to mix his cocktails for the ladies. At base, he's a wolf. Think of the other side of Helen Gurley Brown, Sex and the Single Girl. And Helen Gurley Brown became the editor of Cosmopolitan magazine, and the Cosmo girl was a girl who could have her own apartment with a wing chair, maybe a kitty, and her own TV. And what was she after? A husband. And so we had atomic living as of the 50s and into the 60s for the bachelors and the bachelor girl, both. Couple more here. Burger, atomic burger. I know in Salt Lake City for 45 cents you could get one of these, and I think to this day it's on offer. Perfectly good, just to say. Ketchup, mustard, all right, there it is. We've had a wonderful buffet, so no one need yearn for this burger. Okay, let's go on for the next. And here's candy. Sour cream filled chews, atomic ones. For children, not a problem. Open it up, enjoy it. Know you are in sync with the modern era of your own childhood. And even one more, the toy, the atomic robot man. Not just a robot, but an atomic robot. So we really see this full immersion of the atom wherever, the snacks, the car potentially, the furnishings, the idea of what modernity was all about in America after the depredation of World War II. Okay, now then.
So, again, that book, Atoms for Peace, and everything that you just showed us as well, it's kind of idealizing this new age as a utopia, right? Like what we were talking about with the nucleon as well. So, let's get more into the cocktail culture of your book.
Should everyone be invited to have another cocktail?
I think you guys are probably ready for another one, right? So,
right.
If we're ready for another, I think we're ready over here.
Oh, look at this. Here they come. The cocktails being served now are Jack Rose cocktails. The Jack Rose. Don't be shy. Take a sip. The reason I asked that tonight be a Jack Rose night is that cocktail was John Steinbeck's favorite. And the reason John Steinbeck should be in the air tonight is that in 1962, just before he won the Nobel Prize in Literature, he decided he was somewhat out of touch with America. Everyone knew that Jack Kerouac had been on the road discovering America. And as Kerouac famously said, "The road is life. The road is life." What John Steinbeck discovered in his road trip across America, he had a Ford pickup truck, custom fitted. He should have come here. He should have had it done here. And the reason he should have done it here is that obviously Cat Bill would know that the balance of this vehicle needed to be right, and it would not wallow into a ditch as it did for John Steinbeck. This custom-fitted truck With his dog, Charlie, a poodle, an aging poodle, Steinbeck decided to tour America. And he left his home on the East Coast, went up through New England, all across America, Fargo, North Dakota, down through his old stomping grounds in Salinas, California, and back up through Texas. He had Thanksgiving in Texas, and on up to these. But he met his wife in St. Louis. She flew in, and they had his favorite cocktails, Jack Rose. And I chose this cocktail not only because it was a Steinbeck favorite, but because Steinbeck's insight into America is a companion to Jack Kerouac's. Here's Kerouac saying, "The road is life." And here's what Steinbeck discovered: that Americans talk all the time about their roots, finding their roots and wanting their roots. What he found instead is that Americans are the most restless people on earth. They want to be on the road. They want to be on the go. They want to be in movement all the time. That's who we are. And he found it by driving all over America, in a sense, enacting the very value that he saw everywhere in the country. So that's why you're having Jack Rose cocktails. So let's toast to John Steinbeck. All right. Okay, a few more things.
Yeah, so
We're
let's
getting into
talk about
cocktails. Talk about drinks.
So Cecilia, again, let's just speaking about the cocktail culture of your book. You talked about Americans at the time kind of viewing this as a utopia in one way, but were they also drowning fears and anxieties in these mixed drinks that they had, or was this a celebration? How was the cocktail?
Yes, Matt, good question. Drowning fears and anxieties in booze?
Yes.
Or celebrating? Let's move past this sad little robot and see what we've got here. This bartender comes from Playboy magazine in 1952. Hugh Hefner realized that the young and not so young men in America needed more than Esquire magazine and Hunting and Fishing monthlies. What was needed was a magazine for the new sophisticated man. And this is the bartender teaching how to make the perfect martini. The perfect martini, according to this man, involved no more than 25 revolutions of the wrist in stirring. The olive measured with a caliper. It was somewhat a spoof, but it also made the point, as Hugh Hefner's master bartender, Thomas Mario, made, that a cocktail was not an opportunity to wing it. It needed to be precisely calibrated. And the gentleman who was showing off in his wolf lair for the ladies and his friends needed precise measurements. And this was the beginning, early 50s, of the Playboy, not only the monthly Girl of the Month, but also tutelage about what a proper bar was, a bartender. And I'll just say two things on this point. Until mid-century, and if you look at the Nick and Nora Thin Man old movies on TV, you will see these little cocktail glasses. Prohibition had just ended. They were 3-ounce glasses. Nick and Nora always had one in hand. What Thomas Mario, Hugh Hefner's master bartender, decreed is that the cocktail glass should be 4 1/2 ounces. And to prepare for an evening 3 cocktails before dinner, wine with dinner, and after dinner, 2 or 3 highballs, and perhaps a liqueur.
Sounds like the floor, right?
I don't know. I hear murmurs in the room. Yes, yes. But that was and it happened. And there was a good deal of social drinking in this period. And Hefner, knowing that the sophisticates among the men in the era were newly flush with cash, with credit cards. There were a few young men whose families belonged to clubs and had seen their own families, their fathers, mix drinks, had seen the club bartender perhaps mix drinks, but they weren't club members. Their parents had never been charter members of any such thing. For them, they needed Playboy magazine, they needed Hugh Hefner. So we come to the drinks. There's that one. You got another question?
Well, so we've got the clubs
Okay.
up here on the screen as well.
Uh-huh.
So,
The Playboy Club. How many here have been to a Playboy Club? Oh, wasn't that fun? That was really fun. All right. There she is. What we might not know is that at first Hugh Hefner discouraged the idea of these bodysuits. He said they looked too much like a bathing suit, and besides, the ears were sort of silly. But when the suit was cut thigh high and the décolletage accentuated, plus those cuffs with the cuffling, with the rabbit, and the collar and the bow tie, and then the ears and that cottontail, and so the bunnies, and the clubs, the first one in Chicago, and soon all over the country and all over the world. I think there still are a few. I believe that this bunny, and by the way, for every 100 women who auditioned to be a bunny, 20 might have made it. They were asked to bring a leotard to their auditions, and they were taught every movement. None of it was spontaneous. Every movement choreographed. Hugh Hefner's brother had studied with Lee Strasberg in drama, and he made a film, a tutoring film for the bunnies. There was the bunny dip, the bunny carry, many bunny moves. Every one of them choreographed at the Playboy clubs. So there she is serving. Now, here are ladies having cocktails, enjoying their drinks. What might they be talking about? Are they talking about Helen Gurley Brown and the Cosmo Club? The Cosmo magazine, sorry. Are they? Are they suburban women? They might have wished to have careers in the city, but instead found themselves in the suburbs, spending their whole day ferrying children, perhaps doing some philanthropic volunteer work, but what they hoped to do was originally live in the city in a bachelorette's apartment, but here they are enjoying themselves and free to have their own drinks. And this is an important point, kind of an equal opportunity cocktail party. This is not any longer what their grandmothers would have had to put up with, secretly sneaking a drink into a teacup in a hotel palm garden. So we see, in a sense, this is the 50s, maybe late 50s. They're having a good time. In no way are they to be shown inebriated. They're enjoying the social drinking of the era of the cocktail. Okay, we should see a couple more.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, can you bear me with for another mother? Couple more. Well, here we are. We see the little umbrella in the drink is sort of blown up. You see someone surfing in the back. Let's remember, not only was there atomic testing in the Pacific, but there were, of course, our servicemen and women in the Pacific. And there was the Broadway smash musical South Pacific. And here came the drinks, thought to be from a more leisured world. Americans working so hard all the time. But the idea of the tropics for travel in the new jet planes, but also the new drinks, the tropical drinks for leisure, for a leisured world, and two people. Okay, this is probably a Trader Vic bar. I couldn't verify. Let's remember the two figures who sort of brought tiki culture to America. America already dominant worldwide, including the Pacific and, of course, the Caribbean. Don the Beachcomber, starting in the 30s, a man from Texas, thought he spent a little time in Hawaii, thought maybe a thatched roof, the sound of rain pattering on the roof would bring him a successful business, and in Southern California it did. But the man who really benefited is Victor Bergeron, who had a little bar in Oakland, California called Hinky Dinks. But after the war, when he sensed Americans were going to be more sophisticated and would like something a little more exotic but not strange, he brought tiki culture very much in Trader Vic's bars, in the Westin hotels, in the Hyatts, all over America. And the idea in an America working, a country that never was at ease with leisure, ever, not really. But the tiki idea, the idea of a Trader Vic afternoon or evening, exotic, relaxed, let's do it. And so we all did.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cecilia, you've taken us, cocktail in hand from the atomic age, right? We've kind of gone on this little journey. Can you bring us up to speed now? Where do you think we are in 2023?
All right. Where we right all is people, you know how in McDonald's their chairs are for 20 minutes? You have exceeded the McDonald's chair comfort. So one more to show us where we are now, okay? Where we are. Now, originally, I said Barbie and Oppenheimer, the summer's blockbusters. And Matt, you added Science Barbie,
Yeah,
to bring us fully up to date.
She's a nuclear chemist. Right?
She is a nuclear chemist, but let me just spread it out a little bit. Just a few weeks ago, the Nobel Prize in Physiology Medicine was co-won by Drew Weissman and Katalin Kariko, the woman who is more responsible for the development of the RNA vaccines, not only to help us through the pandemic, but vaccines from now on for all kinds of scourges that are likely to. So Science Barbie, you just won the Nobel Prize. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. And thank you, Cecilia, for
We're done.
For that.
We're done.
Well, we
Everybody,
want to open it
thank
up
you.
to you guys as well.
Questions.
Yeah.
Questions.
We'll see.
Yeah,
so
sure.
let's see if anybody has questions or comments. Maybe you liked one drink over the other, or you want the perfect holiday drink recommendation from Cecilia. Let's field some questions. So, yeah, we have some microphones that are going to come around for you too. So Tina's coming over to say hi to you.
Questions? Any questions, everyone?
All the baby boomers.
Yeah.
Remember this? Were we really supposed to trust duck and cover?
We were talking about that.
We were
phone call,
talking
right?
about that. I mean, it's what was available to do. I remember it in third grade. I was in Florida in West Palm Beach in the school. If you see a bright light under your desk, what I remember is that the floor was so gritty with sand. This was fun. You too? You too, yes. I think it was a gesture. Who knew what it would really be like? So duck and cover and all these signs throughout America on where to go. Those civil defense signs, weren't they kind of yellowish and black? I saw one at Fort Jefferson in the Dry Tortugas off Key West, where John Wilkes Booth was imprisoned for shooting Abraham Lincoln. And there it was, in case of nuclear attack, go downstairs to this crumbling fort. So they were, I bring that up because it just seemed, as we tried to think of what it would be like, duck and cover, go to some basement, create in your own house a bomb shelter. And remember, there would be model bomb shelters. Maybe the bank would extend your mortgage so you could protect yourself and your family. There are people now, we know this, safe rooms. So I mean to go on. I think it was a gesture, and it's all they knew to do for the children.
Anybody else have some questions? So, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you got someone?
In researching the book, aside from taste
perfect.
testing the drinks, did you have a favorite part?
I
Something that you enjoyed, something that you learned in researching for the book?
When you were researching for the book, was there a favorite part that you enjoyed the most? Was that it? Yeah.
Favorite part, if you're going to deal with cocktail culture, the women's hotel, the bar, the Barbizon in New York, there they all were. There was Grace Kelly, there was Joan Didion, and that was fun. And the Barbizon, so I would say that was fun, and it was also pleasing to go into the Playboy Club history. And here's what I especially liked about it. If you're going to do this sort of thing, you've got to find out what happened to those bunnies. What happened to those bunnies when they turned in their little tails? They had remarkable careers, is the answer. Some in medicine, some in finance, some in mercantile businesses with a series of shops, successful shops. So these were, and where did they come from? Some of them came from the stages in Las Vegas. They had been showgirls, they'd been stenographers, they were classroom teachers, and some of them were just somebody's sister who just wanted to get out of the house. And they auditioned and they got their start in bunnydom. And the tips were good. They were prohibited from dating any of the customers or the employees. And Hugh Hefner, because he was always on that edge of being accused of running a whorehouse, he hired detectives who would, for example, put on the bunny's tray a pair of tickets to a show. If the bunny took the tickets, she was fired. So it was a strict job, the money was good, but after a couple of years, the future awaited. And I would say that was my favorite.
Well, again, thank you everyone so much for being here tonight. Thank you so much, Cecilia.
Thank
This
you.
is
Thank
wonderful
you.
chatting with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Like I mentioned in the beginning, Cecilia will be signing books if you're interested. We have her books for sale in the back, our fabulous Atomic Museum team is back there. You can pick up a copy if you need it. Come say hello. Come see us at the next Atomics, guys, on March 7th.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
come see that nuclei. It's really cool. It's out there. Thank you
Hey,
so much.
hey. All right. Hey, hey.